Sleep affects every aspect of human health. What many people don't realize is that sleep is connected to virtually every medical specialty, whether we are talking about cardiovascular health, metabolism, mental health, hormonal balance, immune function, athletic performance, learning, memory, or longevity. Sleep is always involved. For years, sleep was treated as a secondary issue. It was often viewed as a simple consequence of health problems rather than a fundamental pillar of health itself. Today, science tells a very different story. The brain never truly rests during sleep. While the body appears inactive, the brain is performing some of its most important tasks. It regulates hormones, consolidates memories, processes emotions, repairs tissues, strengthens immune defenses, and prepares the body for the following day. This is why sleep is so critical for both physical and mental performance. Athletes understand this better than most people. Sleep is one of the most powerful tools available for recovery and performance optimization. A well-rested athlete reacts faster, learns more efficiently, recovers more quickly from training, and makes better decisions under pressure. But this principle doesn't only apply to elite athletes. Every human being benefits from quality sleep. The challenge is that modern life constantly pushes us away from the conditions our biology needs. Artificial light, screens, stress, irregular schedules, social obligations, work demands, and constant stimulation all interfere with our natural sleep mechanisms. Many people think they can adapt to chronic sleep deprivation. They believe they can function normally on 5 or 6 hours of sleep. The reality is different. The body can become accustomed to feeling tired, but it never truly adapts to sleep deprivation. Performance decreases, recovery declines, decision-making becomes less effective, emotional regulation suffers, metabolic health deteriorates, and most importantly, these changes often happen gradually enough that people no longer notice them. They simply begin to believe that feeling tired, less motivated, less focused, and less energetic is normal. It isn't. One of the most important concepts in sleep medicine is sleep debt. Every night of insufficient sleep creates a debt. Just like financial debt, it accumulates over time. The problem is that most people only notice the consequences once that debt becomes significant. At that point, they may experience fatigue, difficulty concentrating, mood disturbances, increased cravings for sugar, reduced physical performance, and even chronic pain. Sleep is not wasted time. It is one of the most productive biological processes in the human body. When you sleep well, you are investing directly in your energy, your health, your resilience, your cognitive abilities, and your quality of life. And when you consistently neglect sleep, the body eventually presents the bill. The second key piece of advice is consistency. Your brain operates with extraordinary precision. The structures involved in sleep function like a Swiss watch. They rely on interconnected biological networks that work together according to a highly regulated schedule. That's why maintaining regular sleep and wake times is so important. Even if life sometimes gets in the way, consistency helps synchronize your biological systems. We know that recovering from jet lag or accumulated sleep debt can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. Regularity allows the hormones involved in the sleep-wake cycle to remain properly aligned, helping your body stay in sync with its natural rhythms. The third piece of advice is simple. Go to bed when your body tells you it's time. Yawning, heavy eyelids, burning eyes, chills running down your back, even feeling unexpectedly emotional or tearful. These are direct signals from your brain telling you that sleep is approaching. Think of them as your body's sleep gateway. For someone struggling with sleep, the easiest way to fall asleep is often to wait for these signals and respond to them. If you're not overly stressed or mentally overwhelmed, your brain will eventually send those signals. When it does, keep your bedtime routine short and go to bed. That's when falling asleep is usually easiest. Now, I know some people are watching this at 2 in the morning, unable to sleep, scrolling on screens and wondering what to do. The first step is not to panic. Accept that you're not sleeping right now instead of fighting it. Get out of bed. Calm yourself down. If relaxation exercises or breathing techniques help, use them. If not, read a book, do something quiet, and avoid stimulating activities. If you miss one sleep cycle, another one will come. Your sleep pressure continues to build throughout the night. Maybe this won't be a perfect night of sleep, but the goal is to salvage what you can. When the next genuine wave of sleepiness arrives, take advantage of it. The fourth piece of advice is about the morning. Regularity isn't just about going to bed at a consistent time, it's also about getting up at a consistent time. One of the biggest mistakes people make after a poor night of sleep is trying to compensate by sleeping late into the morning. It's understandable. You think, I barely slept, I'll just sleep in. The problem is that morning sleep is often lower quality. There is more noise, more light, more social obligations, hunger, bathroom trips. All kinds of external factors begin to interfere. As a result, the extra sleep often isn't as restorative as people expect. Instead, even after a bad night, try to get up at your usual time. The goal isn't to fix last night's sleep. The goal is to improve tonight's sleep. Sleep is something we rebuild every single day. So get up, expose yourself to your normal daily routine, and avoid large variations in your wake-up time. As a general rule, try not to vary your schedule by more than about 90 minutes from one day to the next. In other words, if you constantly feel out of sync, it's often better to accept a slightly shorter night, get up on time, and allow your body to naturally rebuild sleep pressure so that you can fall asleep more easily the following evening. That's exactly what many people experience after staying out late on a Saturday night. They sleep far into Sunday morning, and suddenly their entire schedule shifts. Meals move later, bedtime moves later, and Monday becomes much harder than it needs to be. The key is not perfection. The key is consistency. Another common mistake people make is trying to force sleep. Sleep is one of the few biological functions that cannot be controlled through effort. You can force yourself to stay awake, you can force yourself to get out of bed, but you cannot force yourself to fall asleep. The more you try, the more difficult it often becomes. Many people lie in bed thinking, I have to sleep, I need to sleep. If I don't sleep, tomorrow will be a disaster. And with every passing minute, the pressure increases. Your heart rate rises, your stress hormones rise, your brain becomes more alert. The very state required for sleep disappears. Sleep happens when the brain feels safe enough to let go. That's why reducing anxiety around sleep is often one of the most powerful interventions available. A poor night of sleep is unpleasant. 2 poor nights can be difficult, but most people dramatically overestimate the damage caused by a bad night and underestimate their ability to function the next day. Your body is remarkably resilient. Many people who believe they slept only 3 or 4 hours actually slept significantly more than they realized. Research consistently shows that people with insomnia often underestimate their total sleep time. In other words, you may have slept more than you think. This is why obsessively checking the clock during the night is such a bad habit. Every time you look at the clock, you perform a mental calculation. It's 2:17 a.m. I have to wake up at 6:30. That leaves only 4 hours. Then, now it's 3:08. Now it's 4:12. And with every calculation, anxiety grows. The clock becomes a source of stress. A simple solution is to remove clocks from view. Turn the clock around. Put your phone away. Stop calculating. Your brain does not need that information during the night. What it needs is the opportunity to relax. Let's talk about naps. Many people ask whether they should nap after a poor night of sleep. The answer depends on the situation. Short naps can be useful. A nap of 10 to 20 minutes can improve alertness and concentration without significantly interfering with nighttime sleep. Long naps are a different story. A 2-hour afternoon nap may feel good in the moment, but it can dramatically reduce your sleep pressure later in the evening. Then bedtime arrives and you're not tired. You stay awake longer, your schedule shifts, and the cycle continues. For most adults, if a nap is necessary, keep it short and preferably earlier in the day. Think of it as a temporary boost, not a replacement for nighttime sleep. One of the most important concepts to understand is that sleep is a 24-hour process. It doesn't begin when your head hits the pillow. It begins the moment you wake up. Every choice you make throughout the day influences the quality of your sleep that night. Your exposure to sunlight, your physical activity, your stress levels, your meal timing, your caffeine intake, your alcohol consumption, all of these factors contribute to the sleep you will experience later. That's why the best way to improve sleep is rarely a single miracle solution. It's usually the accumulation of small habits repeated consistently over time. People often search for one supplement, one trick, one secret, but healthy sleep is usually built on a foundation of simple behaviors practiced every day. And the good news is that many of those behaviors are entirely under your control. Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood substances when it comes to sleep, caffeine. Caffeine is not necessarily the enemy. In fact, for many people, it can improve concentration, mood, and performance. The problem is timing. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine, the chemical that gradually accumulates in your brain throughout the day and creates sleep pressure. Think of adenosine as your body's natural sleep signal. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine builds up. The more adenosine builds up, the sleepier you become. Caffeine temporarily masks that signal. You may not feel tired, but the underlying biological need for sleep is still there. The challenge is that caffeine stays in the body much longer than most people realize. For many adults, a significant portion of a morning coffee is still circulating in the bloodstream late in the afternoon, and an afternoon coffee may still be affecting sleep at midnight. This is why some people insist that caffeine doesn't affect them. They fall asleep quickly and assume everything is fine. But sleep is not only about falling asleep, it's also about sleep quality. Caffeine can reduce deep sleep, fragment sleep architecture, and leave you feeling less refreshed the next morning, even if you technically slept enough hours. For people struggling with sleep, reducing caffeine intake, or simply moving it earlier in the day, can sometimes produce surprisingly large improvements. Alcohol is another area filled with misunderstanding. Many people use alcohol as a sleep aid because it makes them feel drowsy. And it's true that alcohol can help some people fall asleep faster. But sedation is not the same thing as healthy sleep. Alcohol disrupts the normal structure of sleep. It suppresses REM sleep, increases nighttime awakenings, and often leads to poorer sleep quality overall. Many people wake up in the middle of the night after drinking and don't realize the connection. They blame stress, they blame aging, they blame random bad luck. Meanwhile, the alcohol consumed a few hours earlier is often playing a major role. The same principle applies to heavy evening meals. Digestion requires energy. When your body is focused on processing a large meal late at night, it can interfere with optimal sleep. This doesn't mean you need to go to bed hungry. It simply means that timing and quantity matter. A lighter evening meal is often easier for the body to handle than a massive dinner consumed shortly before bedtime. Physical activity is another powerful tool. Exercise consistently improves sleep quality, but here again, timing matters. For many people, intense exercise immediately before bed can be overly stimulating. Heart rate remains elevated, body temperature stays high, the nervous system remains activated. Moderate activity during the day, however, is one of the best ways to improve nighttime sleep. Walking, strength training, cycling, swimming, the specific activity matters less than the consistency. Movement sends important signals to the brain about energy expenditure and biological rhythms. It helps reinforce the natural cycle of wakefulness during the day and sleep at night. Another important factor is light exposure. Human beings evolved under natural light conditions for hundreds of thousands of years. Bright mornings, dark nights. Our biology still expects that pattern. Unfortunately, modern life often reverses it. Many people spend the day indoors under relatively dim lighting and then expose themselves to extremely bright screens late at night. From a biological perspective, that's confusing. Morning light tells the brain, it's daytime, stay alert. Darkness tells the brain, night is approaching, prepare for sleep. When those signals become distorted, sleep often suffers. One of the simplest habits you can adopt is getting natural sunlight exposure early in the day. Even a short walk outdoors in the morning can help strengthen your circadian rhythm and improve sleep quality later that night. And that's something no sleeping pill can truly replace. Now let's address a question that becomes increasingly important as we age. How much sleep do you actually need? The answer is not exactly the same for everyone. There are individual differences influenced by genetics, lifestyle, health conditions, and age. However, for most adults, the ideal range remains somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night. What matters most is not the exact number. What matters is how you function during the day. Do you wake up feeling reasonably refreshed? Can you stay alert without constantly relying on caffeine? Do you maintain stable energy throughout the day? Can you concentrate effectively? If the answer is yes, you're probably getting enough sleep. If the answer is no, your sleep deserves closer attention. One mistake many people make is focusing only on quantity. They chase a certain number of hours while ignoring sleep quality. 8 hours of fragmented sleep is not the same as 8 hours of consolidated restorative sleep. Your brain moves through different sleep stages throughout the night. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. Each stage serves a specific purpose. Deep sleep helps restore the body. REM sleep plays a crucial role in memory, emotional processing, learning, and brain health. A healthy night of sleep depends on the proper balance of all these stages. That's why sleeping longer is not always the solution. Sometimes the real goal is sleeping better. Another important point is that aging does change sleep. Many people notice that sleep becomes lighter as they get older. They wake up more easily. They may get up during the night more frequently. They may find it harder to stay asleep for long, uninterrupted periods. Some of these changes are normal aspects of aging, but many are not. Too often, people assume poor sleep is simply part of getting older and therefore unavoidable. That's not necessarily true. Sleep disorders become more common with age. Conditions such as sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, chronic pain, medication side effects, and various medical issues can all interfere with sleep quality. If you consistently wake up exhausted despite spending enough time in bed, it's worth investigating further. Sleep apnea in particular is frequently overlooked. Many people have it without realizing it. They snore. They stop breathing briefly during sleep. Their oxygen levels drop repeatedly throughout the night. The brain responds by partially waking them up over and over again. As a result, they never achieve truly restorative sleep. Some individuals live this way for years. They believe they are simply tired because of age, work, or stress. In reality, an underlying sleep disorder may be responsible. This is one reason why persistent fatigue should never be ignored. Your body is often trying to tell you something, and when it comes to sleep, those signals matter. Because sleep is not a luxury, it is one of the most powerful biological recovery systems you possess. Every major system in the body depends on it. Your immune system, your cardiovascular system, your metabolism, your hormones, your memory, your emotional resilience. Everything functions better when sleep is working properly. Everything becomes more difficult when it isn't. That's why improving sleep is often one of the highest return investments you can make in your health. Not because sleep solves every problem, but because it influences nearly every system that determines how you feel, how you function, and how well you age. Let's finish with perhaps the most important message of all. Good sleep is not something that happens by accident. It's something that is cultivated. Every day, your body is working to maintain balance. It wants to keep your hormones regulated. It wants to repair damaged tissues. It wants to consolidate memories, strengthen your immune system, and prepare you for the challenges of the next day. Sleep is the period during which much of that work takes place. When sleep is compromised, the consequences often appear gradually. You don't suddenly wake up one morning with a major health problem. Instead, the changes accumulate quietly. Your energy declines, your patience becomes shorter, your recovery slows down, your motivation decreases, your appetite regulation changes, your weight begins to shift, your blood pressure may rise, your concentration becomes less reliable. Over time, what seems like a small sleep problem can influence nearly every aspect of your health and quality of life. The encouraging news is that even modest improvements in sleep can produce meaningful benefits. You do not need perfect sleep. Nobody sleeps perfectly every night. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. A slightly more regular schedule, a little more morning sunlight, a little less evening screen exposure, a little less anxiety about sleep itself. Small changes, repeated consistently, can create remarkable results over time. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is this: your body has not forgotten how to sleep. Sleep is one of the most ancient biological functions on Earth. Long before modern medicine existed, long before technology, long before alarm clocks and smartphones, human beings slept. The mechanisms are still there. Your brain still knows how to do it. Sometimes what it needs most is not another product, another supplement, or another complicated strategy. Sometimes it simply needs the right conditions. Give your body those conditions. Respect your biological rhythms. Pay attention to the signals your brain sends you. Protect your sleep as carefully as you protect your nutrition and physical activity. Because when sleep improves, many other aspects of life often improve with it. Your energy, your mood, your memory, your relationships, your physical health, your resilience, your ability to enjoy each day. Sleep is not wasted time. It is an investment in every waking hour that follows. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found this information useful, share it with someone who may be struggling with sleep without realizing how much it affects their health. And if this video resonated with you, leave a comment below with the word sleep. I read every comment and I'd love to hear about your experience. Take care of yourself, sleep well, and I'll see you in the next video.